And again, everyone, it feels like here we go again, Anderson.
It certainly does, Aaron. We're on a barrier island that soon may be underwater, a deserted barrier island by and large. About 90% of the people are gone at the head of Interstate 45 and the biggest traffic jam you will ever see. More from here in a moment. First, back to Aaron with the latest.
Anderson, thanks. Call it the storm surge before the storm surge. Hundreds of thousands of Texas from Houston on south, all heading north. Getting out, then getting stuck. Taking hours to move a mile or two, running out of gas. Gas stations running out of gas. The mayor of Houston, just a short time ago, said people who have not left the city should stay put so as not to add to the traffic mess unless they happen to live in low-lying or coastal parts of Houston, Texas. Those who tried to leave by air today were tied up at security checkpoints because many screeners didn't show up for work. That will all become moot tomorrow. Local airports shutting down at about noon. Many hospitals, on the other hand, are staying open throughout the city. Trauma centers may be needed. And outside of Houston, few hospitals in the area have what it takes to handle the worst, and it does seem the worst is coming. Refineries shut down today. So did the country's largest gasoline pipeline. Right now, about 25% of the nation's refining capacity is either offline or in jeopardy. The price of fuel, which had been inching back down, it always goes down slower than it goes up, began creeping up again on the spot market. What happens next on every front will depend on where Rita hits and how strong it is when it comes ashore. It did weaken some today, back to a Category 4, but it could pick up yet again and then could drop again. It is a living being in a sense. It also took a turn drifting a little bit more towards the Texas-Louisiana border. In New Orleans, a tropical storm warning in effect tonight. Tides already 2 feet above normal, and it rained in the Big Easy today, the first big downpour since Katrina. The wind expected to pick up sharply tomorrow, and it may rise even more. We spoke with Max Mayfield at the National Hurricane Center just a short time ago. It's changing its course a little bit, is that right?
Well, it changed from this morning to this afternoon just a little bit to the east. That's not a very big deal, and I don't really see any reason to make any significant change here in the next package, but I really don't want anybody to think that we can pinpoint whether it's going to hit Galveston Island or Port Arthur or even over near Cameron. That's still, it's still got another day and a half here to go.
As a practical matter, how much could it actually move in the next 24 or 36 hours? I don't mean inland, I mean east-west, basically.
Well, I've seen, some big changes, and we're looking at the computer models, and as they continually come in, all through the day and night. And we still have some models that are taking it more down towards the mid-Texas coast and some into southwest Louisiana, and our forecast is pretty much a consensus of the better models, which takes it into that extreme upper Texas coast.
At what point, how close to land do you then become confident that you know where it's going to make land?
Well, it varies by storm, and we've seen some pretty crazy things happen. Some hurricanes get up if they're moving slowly enough and actually make some loops. So, you're never really absolutely positive until it, makes landfall.
Based on the speed it's moving now, you expect it to make land wherever it makes landfall when?
Well, probably very, very early on Saturday morning or, after midnight Friday night. But the important thing, again, like with Katrina, it has a large wind field, and there are actually some tropical storm force winds in these rain bands just off the Louisiana coast. So they're going to get some of those storm force winds even later tonight, and then they'll probably be tomorrow afternoon or so before they get to the Texas coast.
So basically the next 24 hours, in this area that's going to get hit, the winds will start up, the rain will start up, and then at some point 24 plus hours from now, they will likely get hit.
Things will start going downhill, near the core here, tomorrow evening. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But it'll really get bad, very late tomorrow night and early Saturday morning.
I actually look forward to talking to you tomorrow night. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Max Mayfield, National Hurricane Center. Anderson and Galveston tonight, as we look at the hurricane on the move, the weather looked pretty good.
Yeah, it does, and it's one of those strange things. You stand here and you think, you don't get a sense that there's this storm out there. The waves, yes, are now crashing a little bit harder, and certainly the people are gone, but you don't get a sense that of this monster storm that is out there. No matter what category it is, when it hits, it is a monster. So many people stuck right now trying to get out or trying to get one place to another, or at least out of Houston. John Zarella is stuck along with them. Here he is.
Houston's Intercontinental Airport was pure bedlam. Arriving as we did wasn't a problem. But of course, no one wants to arrive here. Everyone wants out, and that's all but impossible. Ticketing and security checkpoints were overwhelmed and short-handed because some of the security people didn't show up for work. Texans were trying to get out of town, and their destinations didn't seem to matter. Abraham Reyna and his family, 7 of them traveling together, are trying to get to Seattle. Their route, hardly direct. Texas up to Alaska and then down to Washington State.
Domestic flights right now are virtually impossible to get. If you don't have a ticket already in hand, you're not going to be getting out.
Ferris Gevguli and his wife were trying to get to Ohio.
It's like a madhouse out there. I mean, people are over the street.
If they don't get out now, they probably won't. Flights are being canceled beginning tomorrow. But we're going the other way. Our ride from the airport into Houston went smoothly until we hit the highway ramp.
Okay, we're hitting first major traffic, which is 45 south to downtown. It's backed up.
Drivers pulled over to ask police what they should do.
I stayed 4 hours and went 1 mile.
We headed for the first exit to turn around and try to get on the highway from the feeder road.
Mike Miller, my cameraman, is from the Houston area, and fortunately we've got him with us, so maybe we'll be able to find our way back to where we've got to meet up with our satellite truck.
On 45 northbound, everyone was simply sitting. We finally made it to the southbound lanes where there were barely any cars.
Just a parking lot on the other side. All the people trying to go north to get out of Houston, and they just simply aren't moving. The traffic is simply not moving.
At least for the people stuck running from Rita, there is still time, but the clock is ticking, and it is clear. Houston, we have a problem. Well, we have good news and good news that we can report tonight. We're standing on the side of Interstate 45, and you can see it is moving. About an hour and a half ago, it cleared up, and it started moving. The other bit of good news, there's a gas station, albeit crowded, packed with cars. It's taking 30, 40, 55 minutes, an hour or more to get fuel, but this one gas station has gas, and that's why it's packed. It's about the only one we've found anywhere around this area of Houston, Anderson, that has any fuel, and that's why it's got the long lines. Anderson?
John, earlier tonight, I heard one reporter saying that a lot of people run out of gas and are just kind of on the side of the highway, and they're waiting for local government or state government to come along and fill them up or give them a little bit of gas from tanker trucks. Have you actually seen that happening?
No, not on the stretch of 45 we drove, but it certainly doesn't surprise me because while we were on that road, as you saw in the piece, they were stopped. They were not moving, burning fuel. People were getting out of their cars, putting umbrellas up and just chatting. So it would not surprise me that that had happened. We did see on occasion some people running across the street from our side of the highway to the side that was backed up northbound, carrying gas cans, apparently trying to fill some people up that either had run out or were very, very low. So again, though, tonight, at least this fuel, there is fuel here. They're waiting a long, long time to get it, but fortunately it's available. The people we've talked to here are the ones who are saying they're not leaving, they're staying. They just want to have full tanks of gas. Anderson?
All right, John, thanks. We'll check in with you a little bit later. Aaron, that is one position you don't want to be in, waiting on the side of a highway as the storm approaches, waiting for the local government to come and bail you out. Not a good position to be in right now.
No, they've got about 24 plus hours for something better to happen. Just in the glitch department, the mayor of Houston, in a statement earlier urging people to stay, did indicate that the state had promised to preposition gas, so this wouldn't be a problem, and that gas is not there, and it is a problem. Among the people getting out of Houston, two caught our eye today: the Dalai Lama and my assistant Meg's Aunt Patty. Patty Hoffman, who got in her car at 7 o'clock this morning. She is in her car tonight still, and she joins us now by phone. Ms. Hoffman, how far have you traveled since 7 this morning?
237 miles.
You're headed for Dallas?
I'm headed for Dallas, a Highland village, just north of Dallas on the way to Denton.
That's roughly a 4+ hour drive?
Normally it would take us 4.5 hours, correct?
And how far are you from there now?
Probably about 60 or 70 miles.
We're showing our viewers roughly the route you've had to go. You have tried to do an end around everywhere and any way you could rather than go on the main highway. What extent has that been helpful?
Extremely helpful. I've been talking on the cell phone to a couple of my friends who left. One who left at 12:30 this morning, and she's way behind me. They were stuck on 146 and couldn't make it anywhere. And the other one left at 4 this morning, and they only made it as far as Conroe. And so, yes, with the aid of my son Tyler, he's been wonderful. He got a course in map reading 101.
What's the gas situation out on the highway?
Well, we were quite concerned about that. We saw every gas station we passed had the bags over the nozzles, and they were all either closed or out of gas if the restrooms were open. So we were very concerned about that. The temperatures, I have a thermometer, exterior thermometer in my car. It was 101 all day today, and we were terrified of running out, so we drove without our air conditioning on, and we're pretty miserable all day. We finally found gas around 2:30.
Well, we wish you a safe ride, and that you get where you need to get quickly. It sounds like an unpleasant day. Thanks for calling in, and I'll pass your regards along to your niece. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Patty Hoffman, who is on the road tonight. As we mentioned, this exodus includes residents of coastal Louisiana. The current storm track pointing closer to the Lake Charles, Point Arthur border area between the two states. The risk of heavy rainfall and high tides, therefore, increases in New Orleans. Not a direct hit. It wouldn't appear that way now, certainly, but it would not take a direct hit to cause more heartache in the New Orleans area. CNN's Ted Rowlands is in New Orleans tonight, and he joins us. Ted, good evening.
Good evening, Aaron. We are under a tropical storm warning tonight in New Orleans. It did rain throughout the day. It has been raining off and on. They do expect winds to exceed 70 miles per hour, at least get up to possibly 73 miles per hour in the city over the next few days. And a tropical storm carries with it 3 to 5 inches of rain. That should not be a problem. The Army Corps of Engineers believes that the levee system can handle up to 10 inches of rain. The problem is storm surges. A storm surge around Lake Pontchartrain, they can handle, they say in the levee system, 10 to 12 feet, but not about St. Bernard's Parish. They believe 4 to 6 feet is all that levee can handle, and a tropical storm brings with it at least a 4-foot surge, so that is a major concern tonight. The strength of the levees also is a problem. Many people believe that Katrina, the problem with the Katrina was actually water seeping through the seams of the levee system. So it doesn't matter how high the surge is, it just takes enough water to get into those seams and then breach the levees. If that happens, of course, there could be major flooding here. The major difference, though, this time around, and the one to keep in mind, is that the stakes are much lower. If the levee system completely fails and the city floods, there's virtually nobody here tonight. So the loss of life would be minimal, if non-existent, and the loss of property, quite frankly, so much has been lost already that more water isn't going to make a lot of difference. It will only it'll be a lot of heartaches, and it'll also delay the reconstruction. But clearly, Katrina delivered a major blow to this city, and whatever comes next, it just won't be on par with that.
What you have in the city now are relative handfuls, little pockets of residents, and a fair number of first responders of all sorts, I suppose. Everybody seemed prepared for the next 24 hours or so.
Clearly, people that did come back into the cities, into the safe areas, have been able to stay, but no one else is being allowed in. The general population of the city is virtually down to zero, except for those emergency workers and first responders and media members. But everybody has a plan to get out or at least take cover if Rita happens to take a turn to the east.
Ted, thank you very much. Ted Rowlands, who's in the Big Easy tonight. Coming up, he's in the path of this storm and refusing to leave. There are always these people who, no matter what, Katrina now included, will not go. But first, at about 1/4 past the hour, other headlines of the day. Eric Hill joins us from it.
Is America prepared for the next disaster? CNN Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
In many ways, Rita is Katrina all over again. Both storms picked up strength quickly as they approach and grew into monster hurricanes feeding on the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. But government officials from Texas to the White House hope there is a huge difference. They hope they get it right with their emergency planning this time. With Rita, officials get another swing at it. On the golf course, you call it a mulligan. 72 hours before Katrina hit, Louisiana's governor was worried but ordered no evacuations.
It's a real threat. It's very serious.
In Texas, 72 hours before Rita made land, mandatory evacuations were already underway.
Homes and businesses can be rebuilt. Lives cannot. If you're on the coast between Beaumont and Corpus Christi, now's the time to leave.
In Louisiana, 72 hours before Katrina, none of the 10,000 National Guard troops had been activated. In Texas, 72 hours before Rita, 8,500 National Guards men and women had already been activated. And today the governor asked for 10,000 federal troops to help in search and rescue efforts. In New Orleans, it was about 36 hours before Katrina hit when the mayor got a call from the director of the National Hurricane Center urging him to order a mandatory evacuation. He would wait another 12 hours before he did.
We are facing a storm that most of us have feared. I do not want to create panic, but I do want the citizens to understand that this is very serious.
That day, Sunday, the Louisiana National Guard asked FEMA for 700 buses. 100 arrived. In Galveston yesterday, 3 days before Rita's scheduled arrival, the first buses began ferrying people out who could not leave on their own. And by today, real progress.
I would say that we probably have 90% of our residents have left the island. It feels like a ghost town to me, and that's a good thing.
The day before Katrina hit, the then director of FEMA said his agency was ready.
We are ready, we're going to respond, and we're going to do exactly what we did in Florida and Alabama and the other places. We're going to do whatever it takes to help victims.
But National Guard troops did not arrive in New Orleans until Friday, 4 days after the storm. This time, again, FEMA says it's ready. And this time, it knows it better be right. The ultimate mulligan, perhaps, here, Anderson. The president will visit Texas tomorrow, the day before the storm's expected to hit.
And we, of course, will be there to follow that, Aaron. Thanks. Judging by the view, it is getting awfully lonely around here. You just heard Aaron Pete, someone describe it, Galveston, as a ghost town. Some accounts, 90% of the people who normally live here have gone, although, frankly, I just talked to the mayor. They don't really know how many people are here. Emergency workers plan to stay, so does the mayor. They've booked 200 rooms at a local hotel here, the San Luis Hotel. That is certainly dedication. There's a bunker there. They think it is the most secure part of this island. It's where all reporters want to stay, I might point out, as well. Not far away, you can find another local property also occupied. It's called something else. Again, here's CNN's Sean Caleb's.
Whitecaps off Galveston kicked up early. About the time Philip Klinge popped his head out of his oceanfront condo.
It's going to be a bad one. It's going to be a very bad storm. It's going to do a lot of damage.
But it's not driving Klinge off this barrier island to find shelter inland. And he says he's not crazy.
I wouldn't say that it's nuts. I would say it depends on the person and where, or not the person, on where their location is and how comfortable and how well they know the building that they're staying in.
The 43-year-old pool contractor has lived in the Galveston area his entire life. His condo is on the 4th floor, away, he says, from a dangerous storm surge.
I'm going to crisscross the duct tape on these windows, but first, these storm shutters, when you pull them shut, you go up like that.
He calls the building a fortress. He's also studied Rita very closely.
This is really crisp weather here, so I think it's going to make even more of a turn towards Louisiana.
It's going to be rough.
On the other hand, residents like Clingy are Officer Angela Rojas's biggest problem. She's been patrolling Seawall Avenue, watching the waves grow.
I think it's coming. It's coming for us, and it's going to be a big one. And that wall's not big enough for us.
That protective seawall went up after the 1900 Galveston hurricane that killed at least 6,000 people. Rojas says about 95% of the people have evacuated from Galveston. A few thousand are still here, in large part because they know the local history and the damage a powerful hurricane can do. Forecasters predict parts of the city could be under 25 feet of water after Rita blows through. When you drive through here, do you think this is my last look at it?
I do. I really do. It's just, like I said, there's water back there in the bay. Got the water here. It's all going to be gone.
There will be flooding. There will be high winds. But one of the few holdouts also insists he'll still be here.
It would literally take an explosion to take this building down. So structurally, the building's fine.
Authorities say Philip Clingy is taking a gamble, so he better be right about his building. Behind me, you may be able to hear the ocean slapping against the bottom of this 18-foot seawall designed to protect this barrier island. Well, if forecasters are right, sometime in the next 24 to 36 hours, the ocean is going to leap over this flood wall for good and saturate and flood a large percentage of this island. So not only will Clingy have to deal with punishing winds and extensive rain, the unknown, Anderson, that dangerous storm surge.
Sean Caleb, thanks for that. Just ahead, as people take to the highways, a late update on what they are fleeing. New information on what the storm is packing and where it is turning next. The latest information on that, and another horror story emerging from the chaos that overtook New Orleans just 3 weeks ago. Did some police officers loot the very people they were sworn to protect? This is a special edition of Newsnight, State of Emergency.
CNN, the most trusted name in news.
For what's really the day before, 24 hours from now, it's going to be a lot nastier down on the Texas coast. It has been fascinating to watch this storm as it sort of bobs and weaves its way through the Gulf of Mexico. Chad Myers now, our severe weather expert at the Weather Center in Atlanta. Chad?
Good evening, Aaron. And the last bob and the last weave was about an hour and a half ago. And I want you to follow this line, just a piece of tape that I put on my weather board. But it was following this line rather nicely. And then all of a sudden, it has turned to the left. And that forecast to the left is not in any of the models. So we're going to have to watch to see where this goes before this thing turns back to the right. Here's how it forecasts now. Here's how the models are taking it. They're all taking it back off toward the northeast and then the northwest and then right up through Beaumont and Port Arthur. But we always talk about this cone. If this cone is a little bit wrong, then you're back in at Galveston and Houston. You're back in the bad side of this storm. So you're going to have to wake up tomorrow morning and watch where this thing, see if it was only a 1 hour wiggle. Sometimes that happens. But if it was a true turn, a lot of folks that thought they were out of it are now back in it. Here's another thing. We talk about this Category 4, Category 5 thing all the time. Here's Category 4, 3, 2, 1 winds and tropical storm force winds almost 300 miles away from the center of the storm. Now, even if it gets back to a Category 5, and we're not expecting that, that Category 5 is such a small fraction of the storm, it's insignificant. The rest of the storm is just as big. So don't let your guard down when you see that it went from 160 to 150 or 140. The numbers don't mean that much. That's only a small part of the eye. The rest of the storm is just as large as it was. Hurricane warnings from Morgan City right on back to Port O'Connor. hurricane conditions expected in the next 24 hours, and I guess that's probably the smallest thing I can tell you. It's odd, though, Aaron. Is it not odd to see Anderson Cooper standing there and it's not even windy?
I remember not that many years ago being in Charleston, South Carolina on the night before, and it's exactly like that. It was this beautiful Charleston night, and then it changed.
Right.
And when it changes, you know it's changed. Chad, thank you. We expect an update from the National Weather Service and the Hurricane Center shortly, and we'll get back to Chad on that.
Now.
Story of the night has very much been people trying to evacuate and the traffic that's making that very difficult. Rick Sanchez is in Houston on I-45. Rick, 30 seconds.
We have two numbers for you tonight, Aaron. One is 100. That's how many miles this gridlock behind me stretches. That's what police officials are telling us. The second number is the number 1. That is how fast cars have been going throughout the day. 1 mile an hour. Many of them conking out. They can't go anymore. Their cars have no more gasoline. And as you can see with these gentlemen behind me, they run out, they pull over. They're hoping police can come and bring in some kind of gasoline, some kind of relief. It's our light that woke them up. Before, when we got here, they were on the floor, literally sleeping. Like them, there are thousands tonight along the corridor of I-45 north of Houston toward Huntsville and Dallas. Aaron, back to you.
Rick, thank you. Patty Hoffman is out there in it. She left her Houston area home for Dallas at 7 this morning, and she's still on the road. About a 4.5-hour journey that's taken a whole lot longer. Patty, how close are you?
We are just approaching Dallas now, and it's been 15 hours of driving. I think we probably have another 45 minutes to an hour, but we're getting there, so there's hope.
Be safe over the next few days. Thanks for updating us along the way. Thank you very much. Patty Hoffman, that is a 4.5-hour drive that's taken 15 hours, and they are not there.